So there we are. So rational emotive behavior therapy, the original cognitive behavior therapy, we say that Albert Ellis has been the grandfather of all cognitive behavior therapies. I hope you have been able to see the screen and also myself clearly. So before we talk about rational emotive behavior therapy, let me talk about basic goals of therapy. Any therapy for that matter, like whether it could be cognitive behavior therapy, it could be hypnotherapy, it could be any other form of therapy. The basic goals of therapy could be summarized as something like this: reduction of emotional upset. When patients or clients come to us, they are emotionally upset. For instance, when someone goes to a physician, they usually have either fever or pain, or some other distressing symptom that they want to get rid of. And in a similar fashion, when patients or clients come to us, they have emotional distress that brings them to the psychologist. Having a problem is not sufficient for someone to bring to get to a therapist. For instance, I may have a drinking problem, but I do not think that it's a problem, and I'm not distressed by it, so I'm unlikely to seek help for it. So in other words, when clients come to us, they are already emotionally distressed. Second thing is they have dysfunctional behaviors that are affecting their functioning, and therefore they come for a reduction of these dysfunctional behaviors. And they may also have symptoms. For instance, they may have symptoms like losing sleep. They may have symptoms like losing weight and appetite. So the primary role would be reducing their distress, reducing their dysfunctional behaviors, and reduction of symptoms. The second important goal of therapy, as we say, is skills learning, which is they need to learn certain skills. For instance, assertiveness, managing time, social skills, emotional regulation, etc. Because with long-standing disorders, it is evident and it's very common for people to lack skills. Say, for instance, someone has long-standing anxiety, let us say social anxiety. Now, this person is likely to avoid social situations at all costs. And because they have avoided because they have avoided the social situations over a long period of time, that also means they have lost the opportunity to learn these social skills in real time in real life situations. So what can fill this gap is therapy. You need to teach them skills like social skills, assertiveness skills, managing time, emotional regulation, and so on. The third important goal of therapy is offering support. Remember that you're dealing with a human being, but you don't want to be the only source of support for the clients, because they may call up at 3 o'clock in the morning and they say that I'm on the top of this building and I want to jump off this cliff, or I want to jump off this building because I just broke up with my girlfriend or with my boyfriend. And then you probably are not in a position to help them. So not only building resources, but also offering support is one of the important goals of therapy. So you can build their resources by helping them join a support group. You can help them form a support group. Even two people can make a support group. So it's important for you to build their resources so that they can manage their problems on their own, and also not only build social support system, but also financial buffers, their emotional buffers, their financial, physical, and so on. So these kind of buffers need to be built so that they can deal with the adversity better. The another goal is to help them solve a problem. Some people may come in a crisis and they need to change the scenario or change the situation, or probably take a decision. So you're not going to take a decision for them, but you need to help them with decision making. And the last and important goal of therapy is relapse management and prevention. It is said that if the client is ready for another relapse, or if they know that they're probably going to have a relapse, or if they know that their symptoms can come back, the chances of relapse reduce drastically. So this has evidence. So if you prepare them for a relapse beforehand, the chances of relapse itself goes down. At the same time, they get a message that the symptoms can come back. That does not mean that therapy has failed, but that they need to deal the same problem in a similar way as last time. Not only they can prevent the relapse, but just in case a relapse happens, they can manage the relapse better. So not just REBT, but any therapy or a psychotherapist can help people in these specific goals. I would say the 3Ds I learned from Dr. Anand Adkarni. He has been instrumental in my journey as a REBT therapist and supervisor. So he suggested that there are 3Ds that we look at. Number one D is development. So people who are normal people, say so-called normal people who do not have a disorder, and they want to develop further. For instance, someone may want to grow as in terms of they want to grow financially, they want to grow in their profession or their sports. They are normal, but they want to function better. So you can help people with development. The second thing you can help people is with distress. So somebody has gone through a recent breakup, or they probably have been facing some issues like death of a parent, death of a pet. They are distressed, not necessarily that they have a disorder, but they are in distress. So we can help people with distress. And the third important D is helping people with disorders. So people who come to us have diagnosed and undiagnosed disorders, right? Just a moment. Now let's talk about cognitive behavior therapies. CBT is not a single therapy. We say CBT is a broad umbrella term, and cognitive behavior therapies include a variety of therapies. The most original form of therapy is rational emotive behavior therapy. This was conceptualized way back in 1954 by Albert Ellis. A decade later, around 10 years later, Aaron Beck conceptualized and talked about cognitive therapy, which is CT and currently popularly known as CBT. But cognitive therapy for depression was initially conceptualized by Aaron Beck in 1964, around 1964. So we can see that REBT came a lot earlier, and it has striking similarities with cognitive therapy, though they are 95% similar. They're still different. And today is not the talk about cognitive therapy. Some other day. And we have other therapies like behavior therapy, DBT, mindfulness, MBCT, schema focused therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy, and so on. But they all fall under this broad umbrella of cognitive behavior therapies. What is REBT? REBT is a focused form of psychotherapy founded by Dr. Albert Ellis based on a model that stipulates that it's largely, not entirely, it's largely our thinking about events that leads to emotional and behavioral upset. So we are saying that our emotional and behavioral dysfunction is largely regulated or moderated by our thinking. And the kind of thinking that REBT practitioners focus on is what we call as beliefs and not inferences. So we're going to talk a little bit about beliefs and inferences a little later, but we say that it is largely our thinking about events that leads to emotional and behavioral upset. More specifically, the beliefs is something that leads to our emotional upset. It's also important for us to note that beliefs are not the only thing that leads to emotional upset. So we say cognition is the most important determinant of emotion, although not the only one, because the situation also contributes to emotional upset. The belief systems definitely do contribute to emotional upset, but the nervous system, the limbic system, the neurochemicals, the hormones, and other biological factors also contribute hugely to the emotional distress. So although we say that the cognition is the most important and proximal determinant of emotion, it's not the only one. So do not say that everything can be covered by psychotherapy alone. There's a huge role of biology. Finally, we are moving chunks of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, potassium, and sodium. So we need to understand that we're chemicals, and the whole body, including the brain, is made of chemicals. So we cannot undermine the role of biological factors here. So, okay, we're going to demonstrate some basic therapist skills here. Though this is not a basic therapist skills workshop, I'm going to demonstrate a mini session. And for this, I'm going to invite Yogita, who is my co-host, for the session. Yogita, so I'm going to demonstrate a small session with you, right?
Yes, sir.
And what problem would you like to work on in today's session?
So I would like to work on my, I would say, guilt, or I think that I'm not doing enough. I think that's a problem for me because then I end up not feeling good about myself.
Hmm. All right. Okay. So you want to work on guilt, but you are a therapist yourself, right? You
Yes.
don't know how to work on guilt.
No, I know how to work on guilt,
Then
but
how are you going
sometimes
to help your patients? Anyway, so let's talk about guilt.
So sometimes I think that I am working quite good, but then there are days then I think that, I'm probably still wasting my time. I could have taken more sessions, I could have worked harder. And at the end, I don't feel satisfied with my work. And
So when you know stuff that you should be doing better, why don't you simply do it? You know what? It's guilt is not going to help you. What is going to help you is action. So when you realize that you are not doing enough, all you need to do is to get up, tell yourself that you can do it, you can do it, you can do it, and just believe in yourself and just do it. So you won't feel guilty anymore. Instead of working on guilt, why don't you simply do things that are necessary?
I know what to do, and that's the problem. I think the guilt is weighing me down.
I don't think that guilt is weighing down. The tasks that you have put off, they are weighing you down. So start doing those tasks first.
I don't know how, and I think I would need your help here. That how do I start doing
I
those
think,
tasks?
nobody can help you. Only you can help yourself. All right. So thank you, Yogita. I'll take a pause here. Thanks for putting up with me. Now, the question for all of the people here, like, would you like this therapist to be your life coach? Would you like me, who demonstrated a session here? Now, what behaviors and attitudes of the therapist were unhelpful? So I want to open the chat. I can't, Yogita,
So we are
could you please
getting
check?
all no, 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 not at all, not at all, not at all in the chat
Right.
box.
Yes, nobody would like me as their therapist. Okay, so what were the behaviors and
Nahi.
attitudes that were unhelpful by the therapist? So could someone, please come up with answers?
Judging. Anita is saying judging. Billy
Okay,
Sam is there. She's saying
absolutely.
judging and advising, no empathy.
Hmm. Excellent.
Pushy. He sounded
Yeah,
quite arrogant.
absolutely. Very
The
arrogant.
therapist was attacking. Active listening was missing. Solution ready was very direct.
Excellent.
No validation. Lots and lots of inputs I'm getting.
You guys
So
are
yeah.
brilliant. Yes. Okay.
Yes, poor
Validation. I
listening.
like that
Yeah,
word validation. I did not
yeah,
validate anything. Right.
making
Great.
fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So there's so many unhelpful behaviors and attitudes that the therapist had. And I know for a moment I felt very narcissistic that I'm on a throne, and I'm on the chair of the therapist and I should be preaching and so I'm sorry, this was all fake. I did not mean to be rude, but I actually wanted to show how not to do therapy, right? Now, there are many ways in which this session could be different. So, we're going to demonstrate the session how it could ideally be. Not that necessarily it exactly has to be that way in the second half of today's session. So, keep your questions definitely. Please write down your questions. Please keep them in the chat. Yogita is going to compile them and we're going to answer your questions, all your questions probably. Now, people who are on YouTube also could please, there is a live chat going on there. So all of you could be actually, typing in questions there. Yogita is going to look at those questions and compile those questions at the same time, right? All right. So let's talk about REBT one more time. There are certain distinctive features that no other therapy has, what REBT has. REBT assumes and maintains that human beings are naturally irrational and rational at the same time. So we have the capacity to think rationally. We also have the capacity to think irrationally at the same time. So it's not that the therapist only teaches them irrational or rational beliefs. No, we don't. The clients already have the capacity. It's just that we make them aware that this belief is rational and there is an alternative belief that could be rational. So they have been able to manage their emotions all by themselves also. It's just that we are going to refine the process. Excuse me. REBT also maintains that there is a
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Here, the YouTube is not live. If you can change some settings
no,
there.
I won't be able to change the settings right away.
Okay,
So I'll probably do it some other time, or
sure.
maybe post
Mm.
this video on YouTube later.
Okay, okay.
So REBT has a very distinctive ABC model, which says that the A, or the activating event, is anything that activates the belief system. The belief system could be rational or irrational, and the A includes two things. Number one, what has actually happened, and what is the inference of the client. So this is a very different ABC model. The cognitive therapy model is slightly different. I'm going to discuss about that. But it is a very distinctive ABC model that also includes, the A also includes the inferences that the client has. The third important point of REBT is rigidity is at the core of emotional disturbance. REBT maintains that emotional rigidity, or cognitive rigidity, is at the core of emotional disturbance. Another point about REBT is it has two different types of emotions that we study. One is unhealthy negative emotion, and another one is healthy negative emotion. Instead of toning down the emotions or intensity of emotions, we talk about unhealthy negative emotions and healthy negative emotions. It maintains that all human beings have equal human worth. REBT also talks about two types of disturbances. One is ego disturbance. Ego disturbance is any disturbance that has something to do with your self-image. For instance, if let's say that Yogita just tells me that the YouTube live is not functioning yet. Now, in spite of having done all the settings correct, if it is not working, I may get emotionally upset here. That, oh my God, there are so many people who might have been waiting for this particular session. What are they going to think about me? And that they might think that I'm not up to the mark. What a bad trainer I am. I might get anxious. I might also get anxious or disturbed because of another thing. For instance, I don't care about other people's opinions, but it would be a big hassle to upload the same video on YouTube again by downloading it from cloud and then editing it and then putting up. Now that's such a big hassle. Now, if I'm disturbed about my image, then I have what we call as ego disturbance. But if I'm disturbed about the hassles, then I definitely have what we call as discomfort disturbance. REBT is unique in its sense that it was the original therapy that talked about disturbance. So let us say that I may feel anxious, and I may also feel guilty, or I may feel ashamed about my anxiety. I'm a therapist. How can I be anxious? So emotions about emotions is something called as meta-emotional disturbance. REBT talks about it. So we work on the meta-emotions as well as much as the primary emotions. So there are some distinctive features of REBT. Now I'm going to ask you questions. How many of you actually agree with this diagram? Thinking causes feeling, feeling causes behavior, and behavior in turn causes thinking. So, if you agree, type chat in the chat box like, yes, you agree with this. Remember, I'm going to repeat myself again. How many of you agree with this, that thinking causes feeling, feeling causes behavior, and behavior causes thinking again? All right, so let's see the responses. Yogita, what do
We
people
are
say?
getting all agree, yes, yes, agree, yes, agree, yeah, agree, yes,
All
yes.
right, brilliant. And that's the wrong answer.
One has said no. Himani has said no.
Okay, Himani, I remember you. So you have been trained by us.
And from Forum Lalka, we are getting the answer. They all have an influence on each other.
Oh, wonderful. So Forum Lalka, so
Yeah,
you have been
yeah.
recently done the internship, right? Okay.
Now we are getting no's.
Now we are getting no's. All right.
Yeah.
So, no is the correct answer because, that's not right. What is actually correct is that thinking does not cause feelings, feeling does not cause behavior, and behavior does not cause thinking again. In fact, they all influence each other. So the first thing that we need to understand, that they don't cause each other, but they influence each other. and the arrow direction has to be bidirectional. It's not unidirectional. It is two-way. So thinking influences feelings, and feeling influences thinking again. And feeling influences behavior. Behavior influences your feelings again. And behavior and thinking, they both influence each other, right? So this is what it's important for us to understand. Now, as I spoke in earlier slides about the ABC model of REBT, the generic cognitive model, it talks about the ABC in a slightly different way. It's the model that Beck's cognitive therapy follows. Now, the A would be the antecedent situation, and the B would be automatic thoughts that get triggered in your head, and the C would be your consequences, or it could be emotional behavior and physiological consequence. So anything that happens is A, anything that goes into your head is B, and anything that is emotion, behavior, or physiological arousal or a reaction is C. So this is the ABC model of cognitive therapy. Say, for instance, like I get some people, let's say yes or no in the chat, and let us say that there is an insulting statement in the chat, right? So there could be something that somebody disagrees with me, right? Now this could become a trigger for me. Now a situation would be someone has criticized me. Now, B automatic thoughts would be, oh my God, this is horrible. And the C emotions would be probably anxiety, behavior, and physiological. So I might fumble through this, or I might have, palpitations, or I might have raised blood pressure, and so on. So the situation is something that is verifiable. I might have automatic thoughts in my head leading to an emotional upset. This is a generic cognitive model of cognitive therapy. However, the specific cognitive model of REBT is slightly different from this, right? Now, here we may put the situation and inferences both in the A. For instance, the person has criticized me. This is verifiable. Now we put this in the A. I also put my inference from it in the A. My inference would be they don't like me, or that person does not like me. Now, this also, although it goes in the head, it would be put in the B section in the cognitive therapy model. But in the REBT model, we put this inference in the A section, which is whatever inference it could be, that they don't like me, or they are probably going to deface me publicly, and so on. So it could be a prediction, it could be an inference that I have to put it in the A. The B would only consist of an irrational or a rational belief here. So the belief could be, oh my God, that means I am a bad trainer. Now, this is only put in the B section, and the C largely remains a similar thing, which is emotional behavior, cognitions, and action tendency. So we also talk about physiological disturbance, of course. So the C is similar, the B is only irrational beliefs, and the A is different again, which is, it also includes inferences here. I hope this is clear that, the REBT model is slightly different. Now, I'm not going to tell you the whole theory of REBT. Rather, I'm going to discuss the structure of the session, how a REBT therapist actually goes about in a REBT session. Because what you're going to listen in the theory in the first part of the session is something that we're going to demonstrate in the second part of the session. So setting treatment goals, it's very, very important for the therapist to set treatment goals. If you do not set treatment goals or agenda of the session is going to be very unfocused. And I usually give an example of a milkman milking a cow. Now, this may not be very relevant in other countries, but definitely in India, a lot of us have seen people um, um, uh, like milking a cow. So, can someone tell me what does the milkman do before milking the cow? Anyone in the chat box? So what does the milkman do just before milking the cow?
Feeds the cow, washing the udder,
Washing the udder. Very good.
feeds it,
Hmm.
place a bucket below.
Place a bucket below. Okay. Excellent. So you have
Uh,
seen,
sir, please make me co-host. I got removed somehow. I can't see people waiting.
No problem. All
Okay.
right. So,
One more answer at the chat box. Ties the cow. Rishika says that you need to
ah,
tie the cow
okay, you need to
to a
tie the
pillar.
cow.
Yeah.
Yes, that's very important.
Yes.
Now, the milkman actually ties the cow to a pole. And that's the correct answer. If you tie the cow to the pole, then only the cow is going to stay where she is. Otherwise, the cow is going to take the milkman on for a ride, because a lot of times, the cow does not want to be milked. Now, this is typically what happens if you don't tie the cow to the pole. In a similar fashion, if you don't tie the client to a goal, they are going to take you for a ride. And the session would be very unfocused. You won't be able to focus on one problem. For instance, they are working on their anxiety, and they suddenly say that, okay, I also want to talk about my mother-in-law, and also talk about my husband or my wife and my children, and I also talk about my addictions. And then, this COVID has come in, so they will be talking about different topics, and we have only 45 minutes of therapy time. You won't be able to finish off any of these. So the most important thing about making therapy efficient is to set treatment goals or agenda right in the beginning. Sometimes I have spent 3 to 4 sessions in just setting a goal of the session. I have struggled a lot with setting agendas at times, because the client does not want to work on a specific problem, or they are not really sure about what to work on. Sometimes the goals have been set within seconds. So do not go ahead in therapy without agreeing upon goals. It's just not that like you are assigning goals, but you are agreeing these goals with the client. Now, the opening questions that we therapists ask is, what problems would you like to work on in today's session? Now, such questions pass on very important messages that, you are going to work on problems. So it's you who is going to take control. You're going to work on problems. And another message it passes on is that we are here to work on problems. We are not here to chit chat. We are not here to, talk about random things. We are not here to socialize, but we are here to work on problems. And the third important message it passes on is like we may be working on different problems in different sessions. So an opening statement like this is pretty active directive that you're taking control. At the same time, you want the clients to work on their problems. The second important point is agreeing on the goals. Not just that you assess the goals, assess the problem, but you also agree on the goals by first assessing dysfunctionality of current reactions. For instance, if let's say that a child comes to you, and the child of let's say 9 years of age, and says that I'm very sad in the last 1 week because my pet has died, and the pet was there for all my life, because the pet was there even before I was born. Now, do you think that the child's emotions are dysfunctional in any way? You may have to ask, like, how is that a problem? Like, I understand that you are sad because you lost the pet. So sometimes their reactions may be normal and adaptive, but if they are maladaptive, so that would mean that probably you need to work on them. But if they are adaptive, there is nothing needs to be done about it. Like, there is no work to be done. Sometimes we have adaptive reactions to grief, to loss, to an anticipating an adversity. So not all reactions need to be worked on. Remember that if they have to be dysfunctional, then only work on them. Otherwise, there is no need to work on them. So agreeing on goals as opposite of the problems would be the right thing to do early in session. Now, the second thing that we do is we assess the C. C is, as you know, consequence. The consequence could be emotional consequence. The consequence could be behavioral consequence. The consequence could be also an action tendency, that what do you intend to do, or what did you intend to do when this happened. So let's get back to a very basic question. Why do patients come to therapy? Now, I have given you briefly about this while I discuss the goals of therapy. So why do patients come to therapy? Can you write down in the chat box here, like, why do patients come to therapy? Anyone? Why do clients and patients come to therapy?
Distress.
Emotional distress.
To relieve their distress, anxiety. To
Uh-huh.
alleviate distress and hassle.
Uh-huh.
To reduce symptoms, unable to function. They want help. They are not able to handle a situation, find solutions, to be heard. Lack of people to share the issues, panic attack, wants to work on dysfunction. Better clarity, feeling stuck.
All right. Okay. So we have
Yeah.
lots of reasons why patients come
Yeah.
to therapy. Now, it is important for us to understand that distress is something that finally brings them to therapy. Distress and dysfunction. So not only they are distressed, but they could be dysfunctional, and that brings them to therapy. Now, when we could talk about distress and dysfunction, we are talking about a specific type of emotion, which is what we call as unhealthy negative emotion. Now, these are the things that we need to first assess in any kind of problem. The assessment of C goes like this. The first thing that we need to assess is emotional C. More specifically, we are interested in dysfunctional negative emotions or unhealthy negative emotions. The second thing that we look at is a behavioral consequence, which is, what kind of dysfunctional behaviors is the client doing? A behavior could be something that they're doing repetitively or compulsively, or a behavior could be there is something that they are not doing or they are avoiding to do. So these two categories of behaviors need to be observed. The third important C that we need to assess is physiological C. What is their physiological arousal during that particular time? And there could be action tendencies. For instance, I intended to run away from the situation. I felt like hitting that person on the face. I felt like touching that tap 3 times before I moved ahead. So now such action tendencies need to be properly assessed. Now, when we talk about emotions, emotions are of two types in REBT that we study, unhealthy and healthy negative emotions. Let us say that the first emotion that we work in REBT is anger. Now, anger is what we help the client to feel. Instead of feeling anger, we don't help the client to feel nothing about it, or we don't help the client to reduce the intensity of anger, because anger still would be anger. It would be replaced, or it would be substituted with a healthier feeling called as annoyance. Now, some authors also like to call this as unhealthy anger and healthy anger. Now, I like this definition a little bit more because some people may also get confused with the word annoyance and irritation, and they may think that all levels of annoyance and irritation would be helpful, but that's not so. Anger healthy and anger unhealthy are the two things that we help the client with. Like, from unhealthy anger, we help the client to feel healthy anger. For depression, the healthy substitute would be sadness. For anxiety, the substitute would be concern. For unhealthy jealousy, the substitute would be healthy jealousy. For unhealthy envy, the substitute would be healthy envy. For guilt, it would be responsibility. Like, textbooks say remorse, but I like to I like to replace guilt with responsibility. I think that's a better version of a negative emotion to put in. Instead of feeling guilt, you feel responsible, which means that I own up what I did. I do not particularly like what I did, and I will make sure that I don't do this again. Shame, the healthier negative emotion would be disappointment with self, and hurt, the healthier negative emotion with disappointment with others. Now, I want you to differentiate I just want you to differentiate jealousy from envy. How are these two feelings different? Any answers?
Sir, can I try?
Okay, go ahead.
Jealousy is with respect to a third person in your relationship, and envy is with respect to materialistic possessions by somebody else, which you desire, and so it leads to unhealthy.
Right. Yeah. It could be materialistic or it could be immaterial as well. For instance, I may be envious of a PhD degree somebody has and I don't have. So something that another person has and I lack it. So that's the correct answer. Healthy jealousy has always to do with. Was that Preeti?
That's right, sir.
I recognized your voice.
Okay.
All right. So that's the correct answer. Jealousy always has to do with a third person in a relationship. Now, this is something that, a basic differentiation of emotions in REBT. Although we don't have the liberty of time to discuss about all these emotions and the script of these emotions, but the important point to note here is the script of unhealthy negative emotions is significantly different from the script of healthy negative emotions. Let me give you just one example. Anxiety would probably have a script that, oh my god, what is going to happen, perhaps this is going to happen, and if that happens, that would be, oh my god, that would be bhayankar, that would be catastrophic, that would be awful, horrible. um, and concern would significantly sound different. Concern would say that, yeah, that may happen, it is likely that these things can happen, but even if they happen, they would be bad, but not the end of the world, and most likely I'll be able to cope with it. So concern is different from anxiety in terms of the script. Also, the intentions with anxiety are avoidance, and whereas concern, the intentions would be to approach and face it instead of avoiding. So we've done the assessment of C. Now let's go to the assessment of A. A is the activating event in REBT. Now, what kind of activating events are we looking at? Now, there are two types, broad categories of A that I would like to talk about is something that is confirmable, which is something, let us say that there is a CCTV camera in the room, and you can observe through the CCTV camera and a voice recording or an audio recording what exactly has happened. So this is confirmable. So it refers to a social consensus of what happened. If there were 20 neutral observers in the situation, would they say that, yes, this happened? For instance, two people are arguing with each other, and one of the person says that he insulted me. And the confirmable reality is that one person said to the other person that you're looking healthy today. Now, confirmable reality is that the other person said this to the person that you're looking healthy today. And the inference here is the conclusion the client makes about what happened or what could have happened is that they are insulting me. Now, what the person who got insulted or felt insulted thought that healthy means obese, and obese is not good. This is what they think, and therefore calling me obese was an insult. So this is their inference, right? What the confirmable reality is that the other person is saying you are looking healthy today. So this is the difference between a confirmable reality and inferential reality. Like your inferences are your versions of reality, whereas a confirmable reality is a verifiable version of the reality, something that can be verified. Interesting. So, a lot of, if you see a debate on social media, you'll be able to see that how many people misinfer or like infer differently about the same thing. Now that's the beauty of human mind. There is a activating event, and everyone has different inferences about that activating event, and this is why people think differently and people feel differently about the same event. Now, because people infer differently about similar events, this has become a huge business. Social media posts are deliberately designed that way, that they should be ambiguous A's, which can be inferred in many different ways. And the more number of inferences people have about them, the more engagement that post is going to get. So, and we do fall into such traps where we understand that, the post is very ambiguous and it is deliberately done so we don't notice that, but we still give it engagement like commenting, sharing, reporting, and so on. Okay, so the third thing that we talk about is irrational beliefs. So C is the first thing that we talked about, is consequences. A is activating event, and B is the last one, irrational beliefs. So we take a cab route in REBT. I'm only going to talk about irrational beliefs today because we don't have time to talk about rational beliefs, which is extremely important to talk about. But let's still talk about the irrational beliefs. Initially, Albert Ellis had mentioned around 13 irrational beliefs. Now, for a person with ADHD, and low frustration tolerance like me, that is a disaster to remember all these 13 irrational beliefs, and I'm definitely gonna mess them up. But after that, a lot of work was done at the institute, and I'm thankful for all the people who worked on it, and they zeroed down to around 4 irrational beliefs. And these are much simpler to understand. That's more simple to remember as well. The first irrational belief is what they call as demandingness, DEM. Demandingness is a unrealistic and absolutistic expectation of events or individuals the person desires them to be. So, I might want you to be attentive. This is a preference, but I might say that, I absolutely want you to be this way. And that could be a demand. So not just demands, we need to only target what we call as absolute demands. Do not target all the demands. For instance, hey, we must go for a coffee. We must watch this movie. Now, this is not an irrational belief because that's not dysfunctional. So we need to understand that all demands are not to be handled or are not to be modified by the therapist. So I remember I was once upon a time in a training session in Mumbai, and the trainer knew that I was an REBT therapist, and the trainer did ask me, "Hey, what do you think, Shishir, about this?" I said that the therapist should have done this instead of that. Now, it was a very simple answer that the therapist should have done this and not this in the session. Now, the trainer jumped on the chair and said, like, "You are an REBT therapist. How can you say should have and should not have?" Now, at that time, I did not know what mistake I had done, but I remember that it was not an absolute must that I said. I just said that they should have done. Just because I say the word should and must does not necessarily mean that my belief is irrational about it. So remember, we call these people as knee-jerk disputers, where they jump on every single must and should. Be aware of being a knee-jerk disputer. So don't be a knee jerk, don't be a jerk. You don't have to target all the musts that the client, says. The second irrational belief we talk about is awfulizing, catastrophizing. Now, this is an exaggeration of the negative consequences of a situation to a degree so that an unfortunate event actually appears or uh, becomes terrible. Now, this is important for you to know that, oops, this is awful. Okay, this is important for you to know that the exaggeration of badness of a situation is something that we're interested in. Now, if they're exaggerating the badness, they're probably engaging in awfulizing. The third and very, very, very important unique contribution to REBT is frustration intolerance. Now, this is a unique concept. No other theory or therapy had this before, but now they have stolen, a lot of therapies have stolen the concept of frustration intolerance and discomfort intolerance without acknowledging that REBT had originally mentioned this. It stems from the demands for ease and comfort and also intolerance of discomfort. FI also has various 4 different components, which someday I'm going to discuss about. But frustration intolerance, or FI, used to be called as LFT earlier, but now they call it FI, frustration intolerance. Largely results into avoidance of things like procrastinating doing things, not sticking to your diet, or not exercising. Anything that involves hassles and discomfort, you're gonna avoid. The last and important belief that REBT talks about is depreciation beliefs. Now, it's either of self or others, life or future, implies that these things can be rated globally. So if you are depreciating a human being or life or self or another person or future in general, you're saying that it is bad completely, then you're engaging in what we call as depreciating belief. So these are the list of 4 irrational beliefs. Now, let's talk about disputation. This is what happens in REBT. Now, many people think that disputation is the crux of therapy. Mind it, I firmly believe that disputation is not the most important thing in therapy. I think if you largely focus and your energies on proper assessment, if you got the A, B, and C right in therapy, half of the work is done. So please spend a lot of time in identifying the accurate A, accurate B, and accurate C. If you don't get them right, no amount of disputation is probably going to work. So it would be in a wrong direction. Many times I have myself found the A incorrectly. So, I knew that the client is angry, but I did not know what the client was angry about. Um, and that kept me into the loop of, targeting the wrong B, though there was a demand, but what was the demand about? Now, this is important for you to know is to verbalize your understanding to the client that you felt angry about your husband insulting you in public. She said, exactly, if he had given me this feedback in private, I would not be so upset. So it is important for you to accurately identify the A and verify it by asking questions like, so if he had, given you a feedback or even criticized you in private, you wouldn't be so angry? Yeah, I wouldn't be so angry. So now you know that the client was actually upset about the public disapproval or her insult in public. So this is what we mean by verifying the A. Similarly, B can be verified and C can be verified. Unless you verify all the A, Bs, and Cs, do not go ahead. Now, the important part of disputation is a process of cognitive restructuring. And in this process, we say that what not to dispute is very important. So let's talk about what has to be disputed. What to dispute? Dispute.
So your mic got mute. Hello.
Okay. So what to dispute? Dispute the irrational belief and rational belief both. Not only we dispute the irrational belief, but also rational belief to convince the client that this is how the rational belief is rational and irrational belief is irrational. Do not dispute emotions. Many times, after the assessment, the client says that, and that is what made me angry, is that, I was thinking that he absolutely must not have done it, and then that made me angry. The therapist may say at this point in time to dispute that, you know, how does anger help you in, improving your marital relationships? Now, the therapist has made a mistake here is that they're disputing the emotions at this stage. In fact, this could have been done earlier in the goal assessment and goal setting, where you're assessing the dysfunctionality of an emotion. For instance, how is anger helping you? But do not do disputation of emotions at this stage. Like, we only going to dispute the cognitions, not emotions here, not even behavior. So do not dispute emotions or behaviors, because that will be seen as invalidation. You do not understand that I felt this way. So let's talk about different strategies to dispute. The cognitive strategies are largely what we use repetitively. So, for instance, asking questions, the way you think differently, any strategy that changes the cognition directly is a cognitive strategy. There could be emotive strategies. For instance, you change the emotion first, and a cognitive change follows. For instance, you ask them to feel concerned instead of feeling anxious in the same situation. So you force them into thinking concerned, or you help them visualize that they are concerned but not anxious in the same situation. And if they have been able to shift their emotion, ask them how did they do it. So correct emotional strategies would help the client to change their irrational beliefs. Behavioral strategies are also very popular, especially shame attack exercises, acting against the belief, acting against their own inferences, exposure and response prevention. All these behavioral strategies help the client to change their irrational beliefs into rational beliefs. Remember, so a proper combination of cognitive, emotive, and behavioral strategies is something that is going to give lasting results to the client. And I love the behavioral strategies more because that gets the client into action, and also targets all the three aspects of their dysfunctions, like thinking, feeling, and behavior. So these are three different strategies. Now there are styles of disputation, which is one is didactic. Didactic calls for lecture. Didactic means lecture. So statements like, you know what, not everything happens the way you want, but I know it would be nice if things happened this way. This ends with a full stop. Now this is a didactic statement. So I'm going to give a rational statement to the client. A Socratic typically ends with a question mark. So a question would be, how I understand that it would be nice if this person was fair to you, but why absolutely must they have been fair to you is a Socratic question that you're going to ask. A metaphor analogy, a metaphor is a small anecdote that you could tell them. An analogy could be something that I'm going to discuss in some time, which is giving them something that is similar. So analogy has some common elements that the client's experience has. For instance, I give analogy of a cactus, that we need to understand adaptability from cactus. Now, there is something common between cactus and the person is adversity. The cactus also faces adversity, and you are also facing adversity. The cactus develops thick skin and therefore saves its water from evaporating. And you have a psychological adaptability in you where you can save yourself from getting drained out. So this is something that can change the way people think. I have found analogies to be extremely helpful in the Indian scenario. I do not know of other cultures where they would be so useful. But uneducated patients who do not understand complex words like catastrophizing, awfulizing, demand, frustration, intolerance, you can use analogies that can sync with them. Remember that they should be able to identify with that analogy. For instance, if you are talking about cricket to a person who is just not interested in cricket, that analogy is not going to work for them. Now, I often give analogies about cooking and baking to clients, and the clients, if they're rolling their eyes as if they just don't understand. So I know that my analogy has gone bouncer. So remember to ask about interests of the client and what is their profession, and in the back of your head, start cooking an analogy about it, right? Okay. So we also have humor as a very, very important way to change the way people think. Use humor strategically, use humor timely. At the same time, do not crack humor at the client or the patient, but crack humor at their thinking. So this is a technique that we use. I'm going to give you a few examples, not all of them, to change the way people think. Is like one of the disputation strategies is what we call as decatastrophizing. So we ask the client to rate the bad event they were anticipating on a 0 to 100 scale, and then if they have usually kept the event that they were anxious about around at 80 or 90, then we ask them what would fall between 90 and 100. Now they keep telling about different events that could fall between 90 and 100. And we ask them what could be worse, what could be worse, what could be worse. Remember, do not suggest that this could also happen in your life, because that would probably break your therapeutic alliance. Oh, yes, therapeutic alliance. How did I miss that? Therapeutic alliance is so, so, so important in therapy, not only REBT, but all other therapies. We're going to talk about therapeutic alliance some other day. But remember, therapeutic alliance is extremely important. The decatastrophizing technique needs to be done in a very tactful way, right? Okay. I often give this example of ink and pebble. Like imagine your life or yourself as a clean glass of water. So there are no problems in it. And then let's say that there are some problems. Let's say that, I am represented by this clean glass of water, and then I don't have any problems. So therefore, I can drink water from this glass. So this is a clean glass of water, and I can drink water from this glass. Then there are some problems that come in my life. For instance, there is a pebble that I put, and that says that I failed at a test. Now, this is a small pebble that I have put here. I do not like it, but I can still enjoy my life even with the pebble. So I won't like it, but I can still enjoy water. Now, there are more pebbles that come here, which is like more and more problems. For instance, my physical health goes down. I get COVID. and then my financial health goes down, and so on. So there could be multiple problems represented by different pebbles that I put here. In spite of multiple problems, I can still sip water from this glass because I did not treat the water as something else. Like the problems as something else, but I treated the problem as pebbles. Now, some of these pebbles can be removed, and some that means that I can solve certain problems. I can get rid of certain problems, but not all of them. But what if instead of treating my life's problems as pebbles, I treat them as a drop of ink? Now, what will happen? Will I be able to drink water from this glass? No. So, this is for depreciation belief that treat life's problems as pebbles, not ink. Because if you say that my problems have colored my whole life as bad, then you are going to feel very, very depressed about it. Now, the glass could be represented. The glass could be representing your life, yourself, your relationship, your career. It could be your academics. It could be a profession, anything. And the pebbles would represent typically problems. The ink would also represent a problem. So it's your choice whether you want to treat problems as pebbles or ink. I hope you like this analogy. I often use this analogy when people say that they are bad because they have been rejected. I ask them, what kind of vegetables do you like? They say that I like tomatoes, I like spinach, but I don't like broccoli, I don't like avocado, and so on. And then I ask them, hey, you don't like broccoli. Does that mean that it's a bad vegetable? They say, like, no, 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 that does not mean it's a bad vegetable. I think it's bad. I really don't like the taste. So when you don't like broccoli, it does not mean that the broccoli is bad, but you don't like it. In a similar way, when someone does not like you, how does that mean that you are bad? Or it means that they don't like you? So the person usually gets it. And if they don't get it, I try a different strategy, of course. Is, there are certain things in broccoli that I don't like. That does not mean that the whole broccoli is bad, but it does not suit my taste. In a similar way, when someone does not like it, does not mean that I am bad. It only means I have certain attributes that the person does not like. I'm careful about the other person saying that it's their problem. No, it's not their problem. It's their choice not to like you. So it's their loss. No, 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 it's not their loss. It's their choice not to like you. Another analogy we give is of a fruit basket. So, for instance, some of these fruits have brown spots on them, and just because there are certain brown spots, you're not going to throw the whole fruit basket away. In a similar way, we all have flaws in us. And just because there are flaws, we don't throw ourselves out, which we don't have to reject our whole selves as bad. In fact, all these brown spots are unique to every fruit, and they make the whole fruit very unique. In a similar way, we have lots of flaws in us that make us unique. Now, this was another analogy we usually use. I also want to tell a few things about the Albert Ellis Institute, New York's training programs that we hold at our institute in Nagpur. We hold regularly the primary certificate practicum. We also hold the advanced certificate practicum that's offered by the institute. We also hold a child and adolescent practicum by the institute. We have conducted associate fellowship also. So these are higher level trainings of the Albert Ellis Institute. I'm sure that the audience has some of these people who are in the photograph. Like, we started holding this primary and advanced way back in 2015. So we have had almost every year that we have had these programs. We also have an upcoming program. So Yogita is going to tell something about the upcoming training in REBT. Yogita, what do you have to say?
Sure. So we are coming up with intensive training. I can see many familiar names here. You all must have done some short trainings with us from Morphic Minds. The intensive training, to start with, we have multiple options. Like, one can join for 15 days. That will cover just the basics of CBT and REBT both. That means the theoretical part, structure, and everything. Then we have 30 days training that covers basics as well as its applications in depression, anxiety, and OCD. Along with that, we have 4 months program and 6 months program. So those who want deeper understanding, more and more practice, because that's something that people always want. We get this feedback always without fail that we want more practice, we want more supervision. So for them, we have 4 months and 6 months training, where you will get your therapy supervised by Dr. Shishir Palsapure. We will be there as trainers. You will get to practice your therapy sessions daily, and you'll get feedback on that. So it's a wonderful opportunity for you to have an in-depth training. So, like, you are in about a minute, you are going to see a demo from Shishir sir. So, right from how to begin the session, to understand the belief, dispute, assessing ABC. You are going to learn each and every one of these steps in detail in our trainings. There are some participants who have done 6 months training too, and I'm getting their answers. Thank you, Dr. Manju. So I'll be sharing the link here, and you can go through that link. 6 months is very intensive training. We cover lots of topics in 6 months. We also arrange guests for guest speakers, that those who talk about applications of REBT in various topics, like REBT in sexual dysfunction, REBT in geriatric population, psychopharmacotherapy. So it's pretty interesting. And yes, I have shared the link. I'll also share the number. That is our coordinator Roshan. He's also here in the group, so you can give them a call. You can give me a call if you have any questions about it. But if you are looking for an authentic training, like if you want to go for further trainings, like Sir told, primary and advanced practica from Albert Ellis Institute, doing this for 1 month, 6 months training is going to set a wonderful base for your further international training. So if anyone has any specific questions till the sir, okay, sir is here. So the questions you can, I'm putting up the number in the chat box, so you can call the number, or you can connect with us. And so we'll keep the questions for later, and sir will start with demo now. Thank you.
All right. So thank you very much, Yogita. And remember, all these programs that Yogita talked about are online. So you can do this from the comfort of your home.
Yeah.
Your mom or your parents are going to sponsor the food for you on that particular day, hopefully.
Also, we have two batches. So, for keeping the working professionals in mind, we have 12 to 2 and 5 to 7. So, it's very convenient for, you can set the time according to your job timings. So, it's pretty flexible. Thank you.
Right. And we have had numerous people so far, numerous batches have been done so far. And I would appreciate if people who are here already had done the 15-day, 30-day, or 3 months or 6 months program. Like, please post your comments in the comment section how the program has helped you so far. All right, so let's quickly go for the demonstration. Now, I want someone to raise hand to volunteer for a demonstration of a real problem. Remember that do not bring up grief issues. Not that I cannot handle grief issues here in public, but the problem is they are not very good for demonstration of basic REBT. Now they are not really good for demonstration of basic REBT here, and sometimes it may take longer than what one session can do here. Second, the person who is demonstrating their problem must be willing to work on that problem and not to kind of test whether I can do therapy or no. My tests have been done by my supervisors already, and they have approved me as, like, you can do sufficient but good therapy. So third thing, that you must be comfortable with the session being on the internet forever, because we're going to publish this on YouTube as well, and other social media that we have. So you must be comfortable with this. So do not discuss about a very serious or a personal issue, but discuss about a genuine issue that you would like to work on, and let us see how REBT can help you actually deal with this problem. So who are the volunteers? Please write in the chat box, raise your hand. I'll be happy to have a session with you. Okay, so we have Anisha. Any more? Himani Sharma. Right, so we have two people who have raised their hands. Himani and Anisha, are you okay with the problem being on the internet? And would you be okay switching on your camera as well, right? So I just want to thank you people for being here, and so the theory is over. So we're going to talk about um, demonstration of the problem, right? Okay. Okay, so we have Anisha and we have Himani, right? Anisha, would you like? Okay, so I think you're on your phone.
Yes, sir.
I hope I can hear you well. Yes, I can. Okay, just by the toss of coin, I picked you up. Anisha, would you be comfortable with this session being on YouTube?
Yeah, I have no issues.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for volunteering about demonstration of REBT. I also expect all of you to maintain confidentiality. This is redundant because this is going to be on internet. All right, so okay. Otherwise, I usually take the oath of confidentiality. This is going to be on the internet anyway. So, okay, let's fake the oath of confidentiality. Anisha, what problem would you like to work on in today's session?
This I would really like to work on my reluctance to get on with exercise. I have 100 reasons to not exercise. So that's something I would really like to work on.
You're saying that you want to get over the reluctance, right?
Yeah.
Is that reluctance that you're not really sure whether you want to go for exercise, or that you're very sure that you want to go for exercise, but you're choosing not to go?
I am very sure that I want to go for exercise. Now that's the point, I am motivated, but when it comes to that time when I actually have to do it, I find 100 reasons to not do it.
All right, so you mean to say that when it actually comes to action, you choose not to do that, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Now this is an extremely common problem, but how motivated are you to work on this problem?
Well, I'm 80 kgs, so really motivated.
Well, you're 80 kgs. I do not know whether that's healthy for your height or no. But have you consulted a physician for this? Have you checked your thyroid?
Yeah, I have checked, and every time I hope that it's a thyroid issue, but it's not. So
okay, have you checked other things like PCOS?
Yes. All
so
my
the doctor
hormones.
has said that there is nothing that is leading to this.
Yeah. So all he says, it's in your head. Get over it.
It's all in your head and get over it. All right. I wish it was so easy to get over things that are in our head. Our business would be in danger if that was so easy. Anyway, so cutting things short, I can help you stick to your health related behaviors. For instance, sticking to a nutrition plan or sticking to your exercise plan. What would you like to work on in today's session?
A very specific goal would be to so I had made this goal for myself that I would like to exercise for at least 15 to half an hour. Like, I have a routine which I've picked up, and I know that this is what I want to do, but I just am not able to stick to the fact that I need to do it every day.
Okay, so I want to repeat what you said. You are not able to stick to what you have decided to.
Yes.
Hey, what do you mean by you're not able to stick to?
In the sense that previous night before going to sleep, I pick up that, okay, I'm going to wake up at this time, this is the whole process that I'm going to follow before I actually start exercising. But and if I don't wake up by any chance, then I have the evening time. I'll take this is what I'll do, and this is when I'll exercise. Everything is fixed. But when morning comes, I snooze and I go to sleep, because then I think that
so you choose not to do things, right? You said you're not able to. I'm so intrigued by this word. I'm not able to. I'm going to tell something about you myself. Like, I am not able to fly. So I don't have wings. So I lack the ability to fly. Am I right or false? True or false?
Yeah, it's true.
I am not able to get pregnant, no matter how hard I try or somebody else tries. I am not able to get pregnant. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, it's true.
It's true. I am not able to get up in the morning at 6 o'clock. True or false?
False. Much as it hurts
Ah,
me to accept it.
ah. I choose not to, and I am able to, right? I
Yeah.
have the ability to do so. Now, how does this sound like, I'm able to, but I choose not to?
Like I said, it hurts me to accept it. That I choose.
It hurts. I think this is liberating that, it would be so liberating because now things are in your control.
Yeah, but that also means the responsibility falls on me.
Are you currently feeling guilty about it?
Yeah, I do. I do feel very guilty about it.
So we have two problems. Number one, you choose not to exercise and you choose not to exercise. This is the first problem. And then you also beat yourself up for not exercising. That's guilt, right?
Yeah.
And as if, guilt would probably push you into exercise, but does it do so?
Sometimes it does. So, like 3 days, I feel guilty. In the fourth day, I do wake up. But then, like I said, it happens for like 7 days in a row. And then I feel nice about myself that, oh, yeah, 1 week exercise done every day. And then the eighth day, I'm back to snoozing.
Okay. So, I see a small pattern here. Number one, you use guilt as a motivator,
Yeah.
right? And the moment guilt is relieved,
Go back to the old.
your motivator is gone.
Yes.
So you have a roller coaster uh, way to work out, right? And that's
Yes.
precisely how guilt is dysfunctional. It does not help you maintain exercise, which is, persistence is something that guilt is not helping you with, correct?
Hmm. Yeah.
How about feeling differently about not exercising? For instance, if you felt responsible but not guilty, would that help you better?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how it would feel to be responsible, but
Responsible means I own up my behavior of not working out,
okay.
number one. Number two, these are the reasons why I have decided to work out,
Okay.
right? And I am not a bad person for not working out,
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds better.
right? Now, this is about responsibility. Now, this will not only help you start exercising, but also be persistent on exercise. Do you think guilt would help you more or responsibility?
I think maybe responsibility would help me more.
Right. So we have two problems that we can work on. We can work on your guilt. We can also work on your procrastination of exercise. Which one would you like to work on in today's session?
I think procrastination won't be an issue because I think it's more about taking responsibility and, because like you said, if guilt is my motivator, then procrastination happens when the guilt goes away.
Exactly.
So I guess working on being more responsible or taking responsibility would be a better route.
Hmm. I'm so glad that you chose to work on guilt first. Um, because guilt, when we feel guilty, we also feel demotivated. Guilt drains our energy. So now imagine yourself feeling guilty. You don't feel, yeah, I'm so guilty about not working out today. I'm gonna work out tomorrow. It's like, I'm gonna push my dumbbells. Guilt drains your energy, demotivates you. It feels bad. And and anything that drains your energy is less likely to get you into something that is for instance, that needs a little bit of I wouldn't say need, but that would help something like exercise, which would be helpful if you feel energetic, right? You're more likely to exercise if you are energetic rather than feeling drained, correct?
Yeah, that I agree.
All right, okay, so this is how guilt is dysfunctional. Now, could you give me a specific incident when you felt guilty about not exercising? So give me one
Uh,
specific incident.
okay, so let's just take today itself.
Okay.
So the plan was that I was supposed to wake up in the morning and exercise inside my house itself. And in case if that doesn't happen, because of whatever reasons, then I was supposed to exercise in the evening, take my daughter out, and neither of it has happened. So now I'm kind of feeling that I should have woken up in the morning, and choosing comfort over exercise was not the right thing to do. And uh, I am lazy and I'm not committed, and etc., etc., etc.
Okay, so there's a lot of information in one go. Oh my God, I can't speak so much in one breath. And you told so many very, very important thoughts in a go. Do you have a pen and paper?
uh, just give me a minute.
So, we're going to write about today's session. Yeah, get the paper. And
Sure.
I'm going to keep talking till you get the pen and paper. So what we're going to write today is the goal of today's session would be to work on guilt. And instead of feeling guilty, you would like to feel responsible, right? So this is an alternative emotion that we have decided to work on. The guilt is dysfunctional in many ways. Not only it demotivates you to work out, but when guilt goes away, you fail to persist, and this is how guilt is dysfunctional. You also mentioned one specific incident about today that talks about how you woke up and then you snoozed. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, so did you write down the goal for today's session to feel responsible instead of guilty?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And would you mind making 3 columns like A, B, and C? Now, why are we writing this down is because we will make progress faster if we write things down. You will be able to see, for yourself, like what exactly happens when you feel guilty and how to feel differently, which is feeling responsible instead of feeling guilty. And over many sessions, you will also be able to see a pattern in your thinking, feeling, and behavior, right? Does this make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So could you write 3 columns, make 3 columns and write A, B, and C there?
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm. A would be for trigger,
Okay.
B would be for thoughts,
Okay.
and C would be your reaction.
Okay.
And the A trigger today, this morning, was you snooze the alarm.
Yes.
Okay, I snoozed the alarm. This was the A.
Yeah.
This triggered your guilt, correct?
Not at that moment, but yeah, right now.
So, in at what point in time you started feeling guilty?
I think once I woke up and finished the morning routine, and I actually realized that I was supposed to wake up early, and that's when I kind of started feeling guilty.
You should have woken up early, right? This is what went through your mind.
I actually, what went to my mind was I shouldn't have snoozed the alarm.
No, at what point did you started feeling guilty? Is when?
The moment I woke up and I saw that it was 8:30 instead of 7 when I was supposed to wake up.
Okay, so write this down in the A, which is it was 8:30 and not 7.
Yeah.
Hmm. Now, at that point in time, you started feeling guilty, right?
Yes.
So write this down in the C section, which is guilt.
Okay.
What did you feel like doing at that time?
Uh, what did I feel like? I didn't feel like doing any. I mean, I just felt like going back to sleep because
Okay, so write this down in the C section again. Intent to go back to sleep. And what
Okay.
did you actually do?
I got up and I just told myself, okay, forget it. You didn't exercise. Now get on with the rest of your day. So you have a whole day plan, and but that and just I went about doing the rest of the days.
Okay, so write this down, carried on with your activities, daily chores and all the things, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so went on with the daily chores.
Yes.
Interesting. Now, do you see that the C reaction, the guilt, intent to go back to sleep and carrying on with your daily activities, Did you also do something which is sulking about it and beating yourself about it? Did you ruminate about it?
That goes on at the back of my head. I mean,
Okay, so
I'm
that's the background music that you keep playing all the
yeah,
time, right?
exactly.
Some people have music, you have the rumination, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Feels good?
yeah. Feels great.
Ah, the rumination feels great.
I mean, like being very sarcastic, but no, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. The rumination serves no purpose. It spoils your mood further. And the more we ruminate, we do it for hours and hours. And the more we do it, the more our mood gets worse.
Yeah,
So write down. Rumination is very, very important for you to write down. And you don't even know how many hours you ruminated because it goes on the back of your head all the time, right? Hmm. So what is most
yeah.
dysfunctional? What is most unhelpful in your reactions here? C. Look at the C. What was most unhelpful in this reaction?
Um, I think rumination was the one which was most unhelpful. Or yeah, I think that was because, and maybe feeling guilty.
Mhm. Guilt was distressing as well, right?
This, yeah, I mean, it was troubling to think that, oh, there goes another day.
Hmm. All right. So there goes another day. I want you to write this down in the B section. There goes another day. This is the thought that came to your mind.
Yeah,
Hmm. And what does it mean to you if another day is gone?
it just means that you are not going to break the pattern ever.
Okay. You're not going to break the pattern ever. Write this down. I'm not going to break the pattern ever. You also made a nice prediction, right? For yourself.
Yeah,
And let's say, assume worst case scenario, you are not going to break the pattern ever. Then,
then you don't have control over yourself. You are not good enough.
okay. Wait. So write down on a small downward arrow there.
Yeah,
You don't have control on yourself.
yes,
And that means you're
not good enough.
you're not good enough.
Yeah,
In terms of like what? You don't have control and therefore you're not good enough means you are what?
you're. I don't know. I mean, you just can't do anything. So probably
Okay, so it has to
you're.
do with competence, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Probably competence, that you
Competence.
can't do anything.
You can't do anything right. So, I need to have control on myself. Then only I'm good enough. Is this what you are implying?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Can you write this down? I need to have control on myself. Then only I am good enough. So, in other words, I'm incompetent otherwise if I don't have full control on myself, right?
Yeah. If I don't have full control, yeah, I'm incompetent. Yeah.
Do you think that your guilt comes from your choice to not work out on that day and snooze the alarm and letting the whole day pass like that? Or your guilt comes from this depreciation of yourself that you're doing, that I'm incompetent if I don't have good control on myself?
I I think I think it comes from not exercising.
So we're going to check this. Where does your guilt come from? Because we're going to work on your guilt, right? And we need to
Yeah.
find out where it comes from. So you're in Mumbai, right?
Yes.
So if your walls start having fungus and they start having a watery patch, damp patch, like you're going to find out where is the leak from, correct?
Yeah.
You're not going to paint it, right?
No.
Okay, so Mumbai people know how to fix a leak. So in a similar way, we know your guilt is coming from somewhere, right? We need to first
Yeah.
find out where it comes from. Would you help me find out where it comes from?
Yes.
So I
Of
want you
course.
to imagine, let's imagine there were 100 people in a very
Okay.
similar situation who let their day pass and not exercise.
Hmm.
Do you think all of these 100 people would feel guilty or they might feel differently?
There might be people who don't feel guilty.
Okay. And they might feel how?
Um, I don't know. They might just feel okay about it. They might just, they might kind of give proper, like, rational reasons for why they didn't exercise.
Mhm.
And yeah, there might be people who might actually be worse than me.
Mm.
Sorry.
So some people may feel more guilty, some people may feel less guilty, right?
Yeah.
Some of the people may feel ashamed that they didn't work out.
Probably.
Some of the people may feel anxious. Oh my God, if I don't work out, then it's gonna be a hassle. I might get blood pressure, I might get diabetes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Some people might actually feel depressed that there goes another day.
Yeah.
My whole life is gonna be like this.
Yes.
Some people may feel a different feeling. Few of these people may also feel responsible. Dude, my another day is probably gonna go without exercise, right? I own up. I own this up, and I'll sleep earlier today to make sure that I get enough sleep at the same time, I wake up early. That doesn't mean that I'm not good enough. It only means that, I'm not getting enough sleep. So where am I wasting time? That Netflix binge watch. I'm gonna
Actually,
skip that.
no.
I'm saying
Sorry. I
one of
mean,
these 100 people may say that,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. One of these 100 people
the
may say
Netflix
that.
binge watch, I'm gonna stop that. So I'm saying that they would be on a corrective path. They're gonna sleep earlier because they will do some problem solving, right?
Yeah.
And they will have an action plan for the next day ready. So instead of beating themselves up, they would find out the problem and they would probably fix it and then feel differently. My point is, not everyone would feel guilty. Some may feel responsible but not guilty,
Yeah.
and some may have different emotions. My question to you is, why do people have so many different emotions in the same situation?
Because they feel differently. They don't feel guilty. They
That's a question. Why do people feel differently in the same situation?
they give different reasons for why they didn't.
Yeah, you're close. You're close.
So maybe, like, what I'm trying to say is that they attribute different reasons. So they like, kind of might be saying or thinking in their own term in their mind that this is why it didn't happen, or that's why it didn't happen, or that ways.
And you're attributing it to you not being good enough, right?
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
So, what that goes in their head has something
Yes.
to do with the guilt. Is that correct?
Yeah,
I'm
of
not
course.
saying that exercise or not exercising has nothing to do. The behavior definitely does contribute to your guilt, but it's not sufficient to make you feel guilty unless you add on this to it, that because I didn't work out, it means I am not good enough,
Yeah.
right? And that's why precisely 100 people would feel differently in the same situation.
Yeah.
Is it good news or bad news that not working out is not making you feel guilty, but it's your own thoughts that is making you feel guilty?
I don't know. I mean, if
I'm saying it's a good news. Tell me how.
I mean, if I am, if I, so if I'm able to change the way I'm thinking about it, and if it leads me to actually work or do exercise, then it's a good news.
Okay, so let's try this, right? If and then we don't know, but why don't we give it a try, right? It
Okay.
may not, right? So let's
Okay.
give it a try. Um, You're saying that you're not good enough if you don't work out.
Yeah.
And we found out that this evaluation that you're not good enough is making you guilty. We want you to feel differently, which is feel
Yes.
responsible but not guilty, right?
Yeah. Yes.
You're not good enough means this or this.
Yes.
This means
Yeah.
you're incompetent, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to check this belief if this is true or false?
Okay.
Do you have a best friend?
Yes, I do.
And if she also does not work out,
She doesn't.
I know why you're best friends. Would you call her you're not good enough, you're a failure,
No,
loser,
no,
incompetent?
no.
Why not?
Never.
Why not?
I mean, that's just one aspect of her. I mean,
Oh, is it? Do you
yeah.
see you have such double standards for yourself and your friend, right?
So she may have genuine reasons
Oh,
for
yeah.
not working out. I mean, I know I have excuses. So
Twada kutta Tommy, mara sada kutta. What is that? You know, she has genuine reasons and you don't.
I think it's more about, like, if I am not able to find a way to
Hey,
exercise.
there you go again. I don't like this. I'm not able to. What do you
Okay,
mean by?
if I choose to not find a way to exercise, because
Okay.
it's in my
Let's say that
hand.
she's exactly the same and she also chooses not to find a way to exercise. Would you still call her incompetent?
No.
What would you call her?
I'll just say that, I don't know. I'll just say find a way. That's all.
Find a way, but what is she? She is incompetent.
No, she's not incompetent.
Give me a label, na, that she's what?
She's a wonderful person, but
I don't like these
somebody.
positive labels also. I'm like, should we change her name to wonderful person?
No.
Does that positive label describe her fully and accurately?
I mean, I would like to say that she's a wonderful person with so these flaws in her.
I don't think any positive or a negative label can describe her fully. Why don't we leave it to, she's just another human.
Yeah.
Okay, who is also choosing not to work out and find a way to work out. And she also has certain other attributes, and these are the good attributes of her. In a similar way, you are also human who has certain attributes, who is choosing not to find a way, right?
Yes.
So when you call yourself human who is choosing not to work out, how does that make you feel? Does it make you feel guilty or makes you feel differently?
It doesn't make me feel guilty, that's for sure.
I'm human who is choosing not to work out.
It makes me feel responsible. It makes me
Hey,
feel
I
like,
like that.
okay.
I like that. But at no point in time, I'm saying that it's okay not to work out.
I get
saying
it.
that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's important to work out.
Yeah.
But because you don't work out, you choose not to, and it's a conscious decision, right? It does not mean you're not good enough. It only means that you're human.
Yes.
And it's not okay to not work out, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So can you write down a new belief there in the B section
Sure.
that if I don't work out,
Yeah.
it does not mean
Does not mean
I am
I am
not good enough,
not good enough.
comma. It means I'm human.
It means I'm human.
And it's not okay
And it's not okay
to skip workouts.
to skip workouts.
Because under this umbrella that I'm human, you might also, yeah, I'm human, so I'm skipping workouts.
Yeah, it might go to the other way around.
I know how it works, right? So I'm sure that it's probably gonna help you deal with your guilt. But at this point, when let's say that tomorrow the same thing happens again, which is very likely to, right? Because making drastic changes in your daily schedule may not be what is feasible. So let us say that worst case scenario, it happens again, that you choose not to work out. I want you to ask a question to yourself.
Hmm.
When you actually feel guilty, ask a question to yourself. Would you like to write down this question?
Yeah.
Remember, just replacing a statement that I'm not good enough with I'm human is not going to work. Research
Hmm.
suggests that replacing an irrational belief with rational belief does not work. It is the process of asking questions that makes the difference.
Okay.
So I want you to write 2 questions just to make it more effective. Number 1,
Yes.
how does
Yeah.
skipping workout mean I am not good enough
Yeah.
and
That
not a human being?
Okay.
And number 2,
Yes.
how does calling myself
Hmm.
incompetent motivate
Incompetent.
me
Hmm.
to work out?
Yeah.
And I know that it does. And for how long? For how long will it motivate me?
I think that's the bigger question. How long will it motivate?
So rephrase the whole question. How long will calling myself incompetent motivate me to work
Yeah.
out? Right? It does till you hit the rock bottom, and then it work out for a while, and then what we call as premature sense of satisfaction, and then you get back on. Okay, fine, I've worked out enough. Guilt is gone, so now let me get back to my
Exactly.
pizza.
No, no pizzas. I mean, that's not the problem. The problem
Okay,
is not working out.
okay, I get it. So I was just exploring another issue, which is emotional eating. But
Yeah.
anyway, so what did you learn in today's session?
Oh, a few great things. One thing that stop putting the blame outside. You choose not to do a particular thing at at a particular time. Also, that you know, I'm human, so even if I'm not able to work out at one day or second day, it doesn't mean that I'm incompetent. It means that I'm human, and I just need to own it up that aaj nahi hua, and I have to take tomorrow as another day, and I have to start, instead of putting the guilt on ki aaj nahi hua, nahi hua, nahi hua, kal bhi nahi hoga. So I just have to tell myself that it didn't happen yesterday. Own it up. Today is a new day. Get up, do it.
Why
And
don't you do some problem solving? What makes you um, sleep till so late?
it's not so much sleeping till so late. So I have a young daughter. She's 2 years old. Some days she wakes up in the middle of the night. That disturbs my sleep. So those days I'm okay because I know I have a very genuine reason. But then there are also days. So the problem is that she wakes up around 8:30. And so that's why I want to wake up at 7 and exercise before she wakes up, because once she wakes up, she wants me around. So I'm just, and I was able to do that for quite some time, like half a month. And then 1 day, 2 day, 3 day slip up, and then that whole thing of "Yab to koi fayda hi nahi hai karne ka" types.
Okay, I think we might also do some problem solving in the next session, right? And again,
Just
do you also see that I am not able to, and I am able to. This script goes on in your head all the time, right? So do you see that the script that I'm able to and I'm not able to, this script
yeah,
goes on in your head all the time, right?
yes, yes, yes,
Would you be conscious about this script now onwards?
yes. I will.
All right. Okay. So I think that your daughter needs attention and or wants attention, I would say. And
She wants
thank you very
attention.
much, Anisha, for
Thank
volunteering for this
you.
session. And I want you to probably skip workout tomorrow and beat yourself up first, and then ask these questions again, that I chose not to work out, how does that make me incompetent and not human? And how long will it motivate me to keep working out, right?
Yeah. I think the second question will be very helpful for me.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care. All right, so there we go. Anisha helped us in understanding guilt, and thank you very much, Anisha. Her daughter wants attention, so I could have had a little bit of more discussion about homework that could have been assigned, but unfortunately, I did not finish that. All right, okay, no problem. So I want you to ask me questions about the session and about the theory. So first of all, I'm going to ask you questions like, what did you learn in the session itself, in the therapy session? Like, what were the helpful behaviors? What were the unhelpful behaviors? Okay. Some people have raised hands. Saujanya, go ahead.
Sir, it is not about the questions. I wanted to ask the questions about the session. I had few questions when you were doing the session with us.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Like always, we are talking about only personally and all, but what about the other people influencing us?
Yeah.
Because I'm not working out, they body shame me most of the time.
Right.
So that also adds to my guilt, and that keeps on. I keep on brewing about that every day. So that was my question actually.
Very good. Very good question. Saujanya, now you're talking about A, or activating event, as another person criticizing, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now I would have sensed this in the
Yeah.
beginning, because when she felt guilty, remember that when I took the assessment of the C, narrate one incident about when you felt guilty, and then I asked her what went through your mind at that time, right? Did you notice that she said, there goes another day?
Yeah, she said that.
Right.
Because
Now
people
that was the A.
also
Yes, that was the
maybe
A.
adding to it, no? Like people may
Yeah,
be
it
saying
could be.
something. It
It
is
could be.
always running in my mind, you can say.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. I'm not saying that my A was accurately assessed because I did not verify it.
Yeah.
But some people may have different A's about the same thing. For instance, if I don't work out, then my concern would be, there goes another day. And then, I might feel anxious that my blood pressure is going to shoot up. My diabetes is going to shoot up if I don't keep working out this way. And then it would mean that I'm dependent on other people. And I don't like to beg for help when it comes to, my personal health. So my concern could be different. My A would be different. And apparently Anisha's A was different. Like, she says that not choosing to work out, in fact, her critical A, as we say, was, in spite of knowing that I can work out, I am not finding the ways to work out.
Yeah.
Right. So this was her critical A, which came in the end of the session, right? But it was probably not about other people, because if there were other people involved, then she would have felt ashamed and not guilty, right?
Okay.
So we worked on guilt, and I'm not ruling out that the component of body shaming is not there, but in this specific incident, the component of body shaming probably was not there.
Yeah.
But we need to keep hypotheses in our heads. If we don't make hypotheses, we are not going to have the accurate A, B, and C. So have multiple hypotheses. I appreciate that you had a hypothesis. It is important to cross-check it, right? Thank you, Saujanya, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Excellent. All right. Thank you. Now we have other people who have raised hands. Anyone? Anyone has question?
So we have one comment here that Anisha can work out in afternoon when daughter is sleeping or doing other things.
Correct. Now this is problem solving. As I said, that why don't we do some problem solving? And I promised her that we're going to do some problem solving in the next session. And I could see that she was hassled, and there were a few things that were left. Had to finish the session a little prematurely, but yes, problem solving can be done. Khyati has a question that why did I not go down to explore frustration intolerance about not exercising? You know what? I had two problems to work on. One was the problem of not working out, and another was a meta-emotional problem, which is the guilt about not working out. And I specifically asked her, do you want to work on the problem of not working out, or do you want to work on the guilt? And she said that, I want to work on guilt. And therefore, I chose not to work on the actual problem, which is, why does she choose not to work out? So very good hypothesis and question, Khyati. I could have worked on FI as well, but I chose not to because she said she wants to work on guilt. Excellent. Okay, more questions, please. Anisha says that she's working from office, so she doesn't have time in the afternoons. And this is precisely why we do not suggest solutions to the client. We handle the emotional problem first, and the practical problems is something that we assist them with later, right? Do not directly give practical problems because they may not work. Emotional problems first, practical problems later. Okay, so you may put down your hand, Saujanya. Other people, do you have any questions? Anyone wants to ask any question?
That we all are human beings and we tend to sometimes make mistakes, but we have to own the responsibility of those mistakes.
Okay, Rakia, she says, what if there is no emotional problem but only procrastination? Then what do we do to motivate that person? Number one, all procrastinators have an emotional problem. All procrastinators have an emotional problem. Period. And how do we motivate? We don't motivate. Motivation is another thing. There is a book called as The Motivation Myth. It's amazing. You should read that. Motivation is not necessary to do something. To anti-procrastinate. Motivation does help, but it is not necessary to do. So you may wait for motivation forever, and still you may not do anything, or you may do things even if you're not motivated. So procrastination always has an emotional problem underlying, which could be anxiety, it could be guilt, it could be shame, it could be anything. So always assess the emotional problem first. I would do another session someday about procrastination. We did not work on procrastination at all today. We worked on the guilt, but there could be some underlying other problem that could have been handled. Okay. Thank you. I hope Rakia, I hope that I'm pronouncing your name right. I hope that answers your question. Any more questions?
We have one question here. Kathy here is asking, how do we ensure that client has actually understood and not agreeing to please the counselor?
Right. So you need to cross check. What did you actually understand in today's session? And if they have really understood, you will notice in their face that they have a different emotion altogether. And they have rephrased the irrational belief into or they have changed their irrational belief to a rational belief. But we cannot be convinced till they actually show a change in their behavior, right? So another thing that I usually do is, how likely are you to do the homework that we have assigned? And if they say that it's unlikely that I'll do the homework, then we need to go back to why do they not want to do the homework? It could be poor conviction in the new belief, or there is an advantage of staying upset. So you cannot be sure till the client shows a change in their behavior. Thank you, Lara, for the differentiation between I'm not able to. Remember, every time the client says, point it out, to make a point that, this is so important, right? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, no problem, Ragini. We're going to upload this on YouTube. I'm sorry that it could not be, the YouTube stream could not start on time, and I chose not to look into it because I knew that this was being recorded and I'm going to upload it any other time. So thank you very much for everyone joining us, and such a nice audience we had. And please do consider training in CBT and REBT in the upcoming training programs that we have. We're going to start on 15th of May online. All the details are there on morphicminds.com. You're just going to put a quick link of Morphic Mind.
I have put up the link.
Yeah,
I'll put it again, and the dates, are yet to be changed in the website. So
I have changed them, but complete updation of the timetable has to be done.
But it will start from 15th of May.
15th of May. All right. So thank you very much, everyone. And if you have any questions, you can always write to me. You can put them in the comment section of YouTube, and then we'll be happy to answer them. The link to the program is also put in the YouTube description of this video specifically. And I hope to see you again someday. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening in
Thank
India.
you, sir, for the session.
And have a wonderful day in the United States, like people who have joined from the United States. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, sir.